Hey guys, welcome. This is Mr. V and this is APES review video topic 5.6 pest control methods. So in this one we're going to be talking about the different types of pests and how to control them. The big problem here is that the thing with us is humans are generally the big form of agriculture that we practice is monocropping, right? We grow one crop in the same field to maximize that yield that we're going to get, which is great. But the problem is that this ends up allowing pests to show up and basically have a buffet, right? So they're able to infest areas really quickly, they're able to stick around, and we've had to try to find different methods to try to get rid of certain pests. And so, the best thing we can do is have pesticides. Now there's several types of pesticides, so that depends on what your problem is. So if you have a problem with plants, you're going to be using an herbicide, okay? If you have a problem with fungus or fungi, you're going to be having a fungicide. Okay. If you have a problem with rodents, mammals, small mammals like that, you're going to be using rodenticides. And then you'll also be seeing insecticides as well. So those are going to be the kind you typically see. Now again, they work the best, but it's not exactly great for the environment. So you're going to end up with lots of problems with these methods of pest control. Okay. And so again, what's the general problem is that most pesticides are non-specific. Okay, if you see right here, you see you get flower and fruit killers, rose killers, bug be gone, insect killer. That's great, but unfortunately, they're not as specific as the labels make them seem. Okay, and then the problem too is going to be resistance. Okay, as you get a species that is used to a certain type of pesticide, it's going to end up, the ones that stay behind are going to end up breeding more, and they're going to be the ones that are officially more resistant to that pesticide. So eventually, within a couple of generations of your pest, you could end up with a totally different or totally resistant pest, and then you're going to have to either switch to something stronger or a different method. And that's where we end up with issues. Okay, so one of the ways that we've tried to deal with this is through genetically modified organisms, right? So you can genetically modify crops to resist your pesticides. So if you've got a certain weed that you're trying to get rid of, then what you can do is you can end up having this pesticide that blocks it from getting protein. And then you can have this Roundup Ready crop that's got a small segment of the genes modified inside that will allow it to live on even though the pesticide is not allowing proteins to normal plants. So you can spray this and then you end up with your regular crops or your weeds that die, but your Roundup Ready crop survives. So that's awesome, but there's downsides to it. So it's not going to harm the person to actually have the genetically modified organism, but what you can lead to is you can have a loss of genetic diversity in your crop species because they're all using the same type of Roundup Ready crop. And then you're going to probably or possibly have hybridization, and the genes may enter the unwanted population. So if that ends up out into the wild type species, then you're going to end up with issues there. And of course, your crops are going to be inundated with pesticides. So while you won't be harmed by the genetic modification, that's not going to harm you. The actual pesticide being sprayed in large amounts, if it's not washed and cleaned properly, that can get people sick. So there's a lot of upsides and downsides to this, and that's something to consider when you're thinking about genetically modified crops. So here's some other websites that might help you with these. Hopefully this was helpful, and thank you very much.